Hey there, Rick Sage, recording at the Rimrock Studios in Bishop, California. Welcome to Season 2 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, where I speak with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz and share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks, and ideas you can use to take your career or business to the next level. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. I've used Audible for many years now. I'm on the road a lot, and Audible allows me to enjoy the great books I discover or are recommended by friends. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/theoutdoorbizpodcast. There are over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Start your 30-day free trial with Audible today. Hey guys, this episode is with Stasia Raines Walker from the Outdoor Industry Association. Stasia leads the Skip Yowell Future Leadership Academy at the OIA and was one of the catalysts for getting it started. She tells us about her career and how the Leadership Academy came to life. Enjoy. Welcome to the show, Stasia. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me, Rick. It's great to be on.
Yeah, good to chat with you. You say you're in Denver today, trying to avoid the weather, huh?
I am. Yes, we had a big storm come through, and I just don't like being on the roads when it's like this. So I'm in Denver, tucked away.
I don't blame you. Did you get snow in
Yeah.
Denver, or just snow out in the mountains?
We did. We got a bit of snow. So about like 3 inches, not much, but a little. It's better than nothing, which is what we've had so far.
Right, just enough to mess up the roads, right?
Right. Yeah, just enough to make everyone forget how to drive in the snow since they haven't seen it in a while.
Right, exactly, right. So let's see, I think we first met, you were still at Eagle Creek. How did you get into the outdoors?
I think that's right. Mm-hmm. I was still at Eagle Creek. So actually, Eagle Creek was really my first job in the outdoor industry.
Oh, okay.
And I came into it, I'd say, I would say my sort of relevancy to the industry was on the travel side. So I was a pretty avid adventure traveler throughout my 20s and got into the industry. Actually, Frank Whiting recruited me into the industry.
All right,
just saying he was looking for, some real travelers to be part of Eagle Creek into the brand and do their PR. And so that was my first official job.
Awesome.
In the industry.
And what kind of travel did you do in your 20s? Just like,
oh man,
get out of school and travel the world?
Yeah, it sounds
awesome.
like it feels so long ago now, but yeah, I led bike tours in Paris.
Fun.
And I, let's see, what else did I do? I lived in Australia for a bit and like worked and traveled. And, I just did a lot of, those were my more longer term trips, but other than that, I was always just saving for plane tickets. So I just went to as many places as I possibly could.
Wow. Have you been to every continent then?
I haven't. I guess I have a few more to go. Mm-hmm. And I think someday, right now I have a 7-month-old, so all of this feels like a different life.
Yeah, keep you busy.
Exactly. I hope to take her on some pretty fun adventures, and not too long from now.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they can travel when they're young. I mean, I've never had kids, but listen to me talk. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people travel with them when they're young.
I know. Well, I know. I have I used to think, that looks easy. And now, of course, I'm like, wow, I have so much respect for these people because it's not the easy choice, but I think it is a good thing to do, to travel with your kids when they're young.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So how long have you been with the OIA?
So officially I've been with OIA probably about 5.5 years, but most of that was spent at the Outdoor Foundation.
Oh, gotcha.
And I was their director of marketing for 4 years. Mm-hmm. Before starting the Future Leadership Academy. So that was awesome. And of course it's part of the OIA. Yeah.
And so tell everybody, a lot of folks might not be familiar with OIA, the Outdoor Industry Association. Tell us a little bit about them. What you guys do. It's a great organization.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's such a good organization. And it's, what I love is that OIA is really all of our organizations. So, I was familiar obviously with them before I ever worked for the OIA. And I think in my mind, it was like kind of what a lot of people think, like, what's the difference between outdoor retailer and OIA? And, how does this all work?
It is all blended together at some point.
It is, if you're not really sort of like in the day to day of it, it's hard to know. But, I think that the OIA is our trade association and, our nonprofit that really advocates for us in a lot of different venues, including, lobbying in DC. And I think the things I've been really impressed with this year is like, there's just a lot of cool stuff happening with local advocacy that's new and fresh and a way that everyone can get involved, not just sort of, just executives at companies, but really anyone at any company can get involved.
Right.
And then the sustainability working groups, which I know you've probably talked about, but if you're in our industry and working on product, you should be super proud of the work they're doing. It's like the OA is really leading the globe in our standards for sustainability and product manufacturing. So I think, as someone who works in a specific area of OA, I look at this work and I'm like, dang, I am impressed with my coworkers. We are doing some cool stuff.
You guys
People
are.
should know about this.
There's some great work coming on. I mean, the sustainability
definitely.
piece, the work you guys do in DC, it's fabulous. And
absolutely.
so you started the Skip Yowell Future Leadership Academy?
Yes, it's a mouthful.
I didn't realize you started that. That's awesome.
I did. I started it actually. It came from an idea. A friend of mine whose name is Deanna, and she works at Patagonia. We had started something that we called
Deanna Lloyd. Got you. Yep. Yep.
Do you know her?
Yeah, I do.
She's great too.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She'd be a great guest.
But, that's right.
We were, as I kind of mentioned, we grew up in this industry and we really found ourselves, at a place in our 20s of being like, I feel like, I want to meet more people our age, and I want, these meetings to be sort of, I don't want to just have drinks and talk about, whatever. I really want to have sort of meaningful conversations. And so we started something we called the Futurist Project and rented a house and invited like 30 people to dinner. And we had her little sister cook spaghetti for everyone.
Excellent.
And we just were like, let's just invite like the people we think that are doing really cool stuff and just ask them to, like what keeps you up at night and what are you like really enjoying right now? And so we did that. And
did you guys do that at an outdoor retailer event?
We
or was
did
it separate?
that. Yeah, that's right. We did an outdoor retailer.
Okay.
It was probably in 2008 or 9. So a while ago.
Yeah.
And and out of that sort of grew into bigger and bigger gatherings. So I think the biggest has probably been 100, and they're usually 60 to 100 people. And
that's great.
And we've had different speakers and that kind of thing. But what really rose like to our attention was like there needs to be more like young leaders in our industry are like craving like this sort of education on like what are the issues, like what are we all sort of talking about, and I think also just that mentorship piece. Like there's kind of a lack of, or we found it was hard to really find mentors to invest, or just not even knowing how to ask.
Well, a lot of times too, when you go back to your day job, whether you're with a brand or a retailer, you're just so caught up in the day to day that a lot of that stuff it may get thought about, but it doesn't get acted on as frequently as we need. So that's great that you guys identified that.
It's true. Yeah. Well, and I think, and that was the other piece of it for us is like, we both were fortunate to sort of work with founders of our industry. So I'd say like working with Steve and Ricky and seeing like how the industry was started. It was like this beautiful community of people who saw needs and came together and collaborated. And then we felt like, now these companies were large and we sort of were in our silos of our desks and not necessarily experiencing that. And so part of it too was like, we want to get that back. Like, that's why we're all here. That's why we want it to be part of this industry. And so how do we like recapture that spirit in our generation?
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, that was our big ambitious goal for the whole thing. And out of that, so we pitched this idea of the Future Leadership Academy, and really it was like this amazing time when, it was unfortunate. It was shortly after Skip had passed away.
I knew there was talk about it before he passed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. But his legacy, there's so much talk about his legacy, and it always felt fitting to name it after him as someone who like invests so much in people, Yeah,
he was amazing.
So he is amazing. Yeah, he was amazing. So we started it 3 years ago, and really, I was able to, I started doing it. I was still working at the foundation as the director of marketing and sort of doing this, as my side project. And then that was the first year. And then after that, it became our my full-time job. Yeah.
Nice. And so how many people do you go through it on an annual basis?
Yeah. So we started with 20, and then now we have 35. I think that's probably the most we'll ever have. But I mean, these people are incredible that go through the program. I feel so fortunate.
Yeah. We had Colin Moynihan on the show a few weeks ago.
I heard that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Colin's a great guy.
Oh, he was awesome. Yeah. He's doing great things over there.
Yeah, for sure.
And so how do the mentors, that's 35 mentors, that's a lot of folks to round up to be mentors.
It's a lot of folks, and they're awesome. Our mentors, a lot of them are return mentors that have come back year over year. So, of course, we have Beaver, who is a great mentor of a lot of people in our industry, and we've had great, like Scott
Beaver
is a great mentor.
Prana, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We shouldn't attempt his last name. It's too hard.
I'm not sure I even know how to pronounce it. Sorry, Beaver, if you listen to this.
Right. Sorry, Beaver. His wife was a great mentor of ours as well. Yeah. And we just have incredible people involved. We have Scott Whips has actually been mentoring since the beginning.
Oh, cool.
Our whole list is on the website, which is great, and they're awesome. But
we'll link to that.
We've had, okay. I think it's, what's been cool for me is to have a lot of people who are very, very busy, individuals.
Yeah, well, everybody is now. Yeah.
Everyone is. Yeah. Taking the time and saying, I believe that we should be investing in the next generation of leaders in our industry. And not even the amazing thing to me is it's not even the next generation in your company. It could very well be a competitor and you're still investing, which is pretty cool.
Well, that's the beauty of this industry. It's very, tribal like, and we, work with one another regardless of the competitive nature. So it's awesome.
Right.
Yeah. How many times do those mentors, do you get together as a group in a year? Just once to kick it off and then at the end? Or I'm sure they meet with their mentors regularly, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. They do. It's once at the beginning and then once at the end all together. And then they have weekly check-ins with their mentees, or weekly to bi-weekly check-ins. And, they get together as much as their schedules can allow to in person. But there's more consistency there for sure. And then that all is as the cohorts, so that the people in the program are going through a pretty intensive 6-month online learning where we, every week we have a new topic that they do a significant amount of work on.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then we have a 4-day retreat offsite.
That's great.
In the spring that, they bring together. And, honestly, just one of the coolest things about the program that we do is at the very end, we do a capstone project, and it's really based on helping nonprofits in our industry.
Oh, excellent.
So we'll adopt 7 nonprofits typically, and we'll ask what is a big problem that you don't have time to solve? Or you could use 7 bright minds on, and then we'll help them do that. And that's been a really cool part of the program.
Yeah, that's great. Well, congratulations on kicking that off. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Do you have time to do any other nonprofit work, or does that pretty much take up everything?
I came into that. So one of the reason I really love sort of the outdoor industry for me is as a kid, of course I've had some of those magic experiences, but really I had some pretty significant week-long trips where I was led by a high school student or a college student on a wilderness experience. Where I think
excellent.
It really was transformative for me. And so, that's when I volunteer and I had the free, so that's what I really got back into the industry was, I started guiding some trips, volunteering to guide trips for high school kids. And,
cool.
And I love that. And so I still, in this phase in my life, I can't necessarily spend a week on the trail, but, but as much as I can, I try to volunteer with that same organization, with at least weekend retreats and that kind of thing.
And which organization is that? Is it, Big City Mountaineers?
Actually, it's called Arm Our Backcountry. It's a Colorado, it's Colorado specific organization.
Cool. Arm Our Backcountry?
RMR,
RMR. Gotcha. Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'll look that up. We'll link to that in the show notes too. That's great.
Yeah, it's an awesome group.
Yeah. So what other outdoor activities do you participate in? Probably walking with the baby now is about it, right?
I know.
Jogging maybe.
I was thinking about how to answer this, and it's, I would say I love cycling. I love snowboarding. I feel like I'm one of those people who, I am such a lover of the outdoors and outdoor activities, but have found a lot of embarrassment over the years that I'm not awesome at all of them. Right. So I'm a fine snowboarder. I'm not awesome. I love cycling. I'm not doing anything crazy. I've been the coast of California, but even that doesn't feel crazy compared to what people in our industry do. So, I feel like I am in this industry, one, to embrace the the person who is like me, who enjoys a lot of different activities and might not be the best at any
Well,
of them.
Again, I think that's the beauty of the industry, right? It's not,
Right.
you don't have to be the best. Just get out there and do it. It doesn't matter what you do,
Totally.
even just go for a walk in the park. It's fabulous. So yeah,
I totally
great.
agree.
Yeah.
And I feel like, as a lot of people, I'm, learning a whole new thing with having a new kid, and she's just gotten to where she can like hold her head up. We can put her in the backpack.
Nice. Yeah.
And I find, in this, like, so I find so much enjoyment being outside by watching her, the like enjoyment on her face and her get so excited, like watching the dogs run through the snow. So it's the little things about the outdoors. Yeah.
That'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we all love.
So do you have any suggestions or advice for folks wanting to either get in the biz or grow their career? Obviously, Skip Yowell Leadership Academy is a great place to start, but
thank you for the promo. That's what I was going to say. I would definitely say this. Our program is one great way of growing your career, but I think for me, one of the things that I found most valuable is pulling from the resources that we have. I mean, we are in such a cool place in our industry where our founders are still, a lot of them are still part of what we're doing.
Even if they've left their original companies, they're still involved in other ways. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, Sally McCoy, Steve Barker.
Involved.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think there's this place too of like, get a hold of one of them and talk to them about their careers. Like talk to them about how to get into the industry. I think that's one huge way, and they're super accessible. And I think the other is just to continue to hustle. I mean, I think our industry, if you work hard and you continue to, put forth consistent work, I mean, that gets recognized in our industry. I'd say for young people wanting that, I think that will set them apart, from others. So I think the hustle thing.
Keep hustling and keep your nose to the grindstone.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you have any daily routines to keep your sanity? Do you meditate? Obviously, you get some exercise.
Yeah. No, I do actually. I pray. I meditate quite a bit. And I'm a big advocate and believer in like our breath and using our breath to sort of control our moods and every, sort of to regulate. So I spend a lot of time, honestly, like meditating and praying and working on my breathing and regulating. I have my degree in counseling as a licensed therapist as well.
Gotcha,
and so a lot of that like visualization stuff is totally true. Like the
So you practice what you preach. That's good.
I try to, right?
That's great.
Yeah, no, it's good.
And how about favorite books? Do you have any favorite books, or do you give books as gifts? Seems like people...
I do. I love that question.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Thanks.
I do. I have a book called.
I got to give credit to Tim Ferriss for that one. Thanks, Tim.
Oh yeah, that is a Tim Ferriss.
I didn't make that up.
But I always like to know it. But I mean, I like always listen to book suggestions.
Yeah,
it's always good
too.
to know. Like the question, like what's the gift, is a good one. But I have a book called Dove. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a story like
Dove?
from the 70s.
Like the bird, D-O-V-E. Okay.
Like D-O-V-E. So it's a kid who was like 16 and sailed around the world in the 70s. And it was kind of when like that didn't, I feel like now you hear more of those stories, but he has this like beautiful story and he like discovers so much about himself. And I won't say everything that happens, but it is literally one of the most beautiful stories. So I would recommend Dove.
Awesome. Well, we'll put a link to that in the show notes. That's a good one.
Okay.
I'll have to check that one out. How about your favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
Yeah, that's a hard one. That's hard, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of great things under $100,
exactly.
that are handy little
so
gadgets.
Yeah, and you can go in so many directions with that. I think mine would have to be my Kelty Love Seat chair.
Okay,
it's one of those, and it's because when I got it, I thought like this is so bulky. What am I going to do with this? It's got two people. I'm telling you, it has brought more strangers into great conversations around a campfire than anything else I own.
Awesome.
So I have to say it's a great purchase.
Well, we'll link to that too. I don't have one of those. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, you should. You should.
And anything else you want to say to the audience or ask of our audience before we finish up?
Yeah, I think I would just like to say, if I'd like to go back to this mentoring piece, because we did talk about it for sure, Rick. And I think, if I think one of my big lessons in all of the Future Leadership Academy is how important this idea of mentoring is. And I think we think like you have to reach a certain place in your career to be able to offer someone something of value.
Yeah.
But I think this like peer mentorship and just like taking a moment to help give to someone who might, be looking up to you and you don't even know it or have a question or whatever. I mean, I think there's so much value in that.
I totally
it's such
agree.
a value of who we are. So
and they can
I
come,
would say that.
They can come from all phases of life. And I'm trying to put together, I don't know if people realize this. I read a great book on Ben Franklin, and Ben Franklin used to have this group called a junto, Junto. And it was kind of a group of mentors. It was these guys that were, would give him advice, and they'd bounce ideas around the table and stuff. And so I'm trying to put together a junto to help me continue growing the podcast and adapting it. And because I'm winging it, I just kind of stumbled into it, and I'm making stuff up as I go, and it's turning out great.
It is.
You got to keep it fresh and keep it going. So a junto is kind of a group mentorship thing. So that's a great way to go.
I love it. You need a link to that in the notes too. I want to read more about it.
I'll see if I can find something on that to link to. That's a great idea. Yeah, cool.
That's awesome. That's a really great idea.
Yeah, it's he was a smart guy, Ben Franklin. He did some amazing things, man.
Yeah, I know. I should read about him too. That's
a good book. Yeah. And so, where can people find you? What's yours?
So I'd say the best place. So my email swalker@outdoorindustry.org is one place.
Mm-hmm. We'll put a link to that.
And then put a link to that. And then I'm on Instagram, Stasia Raines Walker. I'm mostly there above other social media channels, so I'd say that.
Cool. Instagram. We'll put a LinkedIn too. Yeah, cool.
Okay, LinkedIn as well. That'd be awesome.
Great. Well, thanks, Stasia. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you. Yeah. It's been my pleasure.
Have a good holiday. We'll see you in Denver.
Okay, sounds great.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Stasia Raines Walker. You can catch up with Stasia by email at swalker@theoutdoorindustry.org and on Instagram at Stasia Raines Walker. That's STASIARAINESWALKER. You'll find links to everything we discussed at the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episode/72. I would be grateful if you visit iTunes and give us a rating and review, and be sure to share this episode or tell a friend about it. This episode is supported by Scott Oshman and the Cairn Company. I had Scott on the show back in October. You can listen on episode 044. Thank you, Scott. I'd love your support too. Visit the support page on our website or go to patreon.com/theoutdoorbizpodcast and see the many ways you can support the show. Thanks for listening. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast. Be sure and go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com where you'll find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. Thanks for listening, and until next time, be sure and make time to get outside.